Hello, folks. My name is Donnie Ebert. I was a military intelligence analyst, and I've been coming up with some problems. I don't think it's much of a shock that the government lies. I don't think anybody's going to have too many arguments with that. But the nature of the lies, and specifically, if we were to break the lies apart and see where we've been handed a bunch of nonsense, I think the argument needs some specificity so that we can all have some clarity on the issue and stop arguing over it. So, what I've come down to is the functional system that we've been told our whole lives, a constitutional republic, is just a flat out lie. We live in a constitutional democracy, and this first video is to really lay out the case as to why. Nobody here is arguing against constitutional philosophy. Constitutional philosophy is great. No issues. But the mechanics that it was put together in 1791 were not only a little antithetical to the idea of the Constitution. There was no rights for women, there were no rights for slaves. Well, now in a modern time, it's essentially dead, and we're living in a constitutional democracy. So let me break this down. If we were to say direct democracy, nobody really confuses that. Okay, that's you and your vote. And the vote is tied to your social agency. And everybody seems to think we don't live in a direct democracy, and we don't. But if you were to take the representative out of the process and just we would vote directly on the bills in Congress, we would live in a direct democracy. So this is two problems. One is all that a republic really is a representative. That doesn't really make any sense. The only reason we really had representation is because a long time ago, economic factors did not allow everyone to go to Philadelphia or to Rome, or however you want to slice that up. The second is that a representative is the biggest fraud surface in the system. They are the problem. The middlemen is where everything is going sideways. It's where the lies are, and it's where the money disappears. So if you look at the word constitutional, it just means contained in the Constitution. North Korea has a constitution, China has a constitution. It doesn't really matter. We're talking about the American Constitution, and that is entirely content driven. So the word in and of itself, constitutional, doesn't necessarily mean anything unless it has specific, facts surrounding it. A republic, I've never actually heard independently defined outside of democracy. So I'm going to, and that is a forum of presentation and debate, not a forum of conflict resolution. Democracy, voting, I'm just looking at them as equals. Voting is a method of conflict resolution. And I have yet to hear anyone intelligently tell me how you're going to protect the minority by voting, because the very act of voting is to create a minority and then immediately call it the loser and persecute it. So if you were to start mix and matching these terms, the Constitution is what is supposedly guarding our rights, but if you really get down to all the mechanics, it's all up to the Supreme Court. What they decide is what's going to tip straight down to the rest of us. If you look at democracy, we all understand that mob rule is a bad thing. So now, if what I'm saying is correct, and I'm about certain it is, the Constitution sets up basically a democracy, not a republic, because I've yet to be able to tell what a republic is. These two terms seem to be interchangeable all day long. So what I'm going to be suggesting here in the course of these videos is a direct republic, where we're going to put these concepts together instead of these concepts together, while maintaining constitutional philosophy, protecting the minority, because we're going to remove the voting. Instead of voting, you will put your money directly into whatever bucket your senator would have put it into. So you remove the middleman and you put your money directly in a bucket. Well, the problem then is who gets the bucket? And that's where the voting comes in, and that's where all the chicanery happens. And instead of having one bucket, we're going to have several buckets, and we're going to see which ideas get funded and who thinks what buckets are better and why. But by keeping the individual agency, not voting, not losing, but you still get your social agency by putting your money directly where you want to see it spent, that there will be a greater deal of satisfaction through the system, and the system itself will function better. And I'll get into how and why to do this in other videos. Thanks.